And welcome inside the Backstage Pass, a special edition, of course, presented by our friends over at Bangtail Whiskey. Check them out at bangtail.com. And, of course, over there at Honky Tonk Texas, honkytonktexas.us there in Silsbee, Texas. Of course, here, a special matinee edition as we count down to CRS 2023 in Nashville, Tennessee, March 13 to 15 there at the Omni Hotel. Looking forward to that. And pleased to be joined by a Texas country legend here on the platform today as Mr. Pat Green joins us here. And, Pat, how are things, brother?
Hey, Brandon, I'm doing fine. Holidays are over, so it's time to get back to work and pay for all those Christmas presents.
I know the feeling, man. It's been a big Christmas for my soon to be 3 year old. She definitely got all she wanted. Every corner was full when it came to a kid, man. It's all about the kids now these days, not about adults, right?
Man, that's exactly how I think. I'm like, my parents still come down and give presents to us, but I'm like, really? I mean, I kind of have everything I ever want, so just spend it on the kids.
Yeah, get it all every corner full, no doubt, and then some. Like I said, buy more shelves and just continue to stock it up on there. As far as the holidays go, too, talk about that. Let's elaborate a little bit more as far as Christmas traditions or family. I'm always a big family person when it comes down to it, too, because you do work hard throughout the year. You guys tour so much, you play a lot of shows, you do a lot of mixers and fundraisers, things like that, and private events. Talk about just the time to settle down and really just kind of get some relaxation built in there.
We have a little place, a little cottage up in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, and pretty much every Christmas season we spend up there, kind of hiding from hiding from everybody, and then we spend about a month there in the summertime as well, and we share that with another family. So we have to switch out on who gets the Fourth of July and Christmas, but it's a great thing to have, and it's not big or anything special, but it sure is a lot of fun to get out there.
Yeah, no doubt too. And that's the best part about it is, like you said, just kind of just winding down, getting a chance to relax, have a couple of beers, and just really enjoy, the holiday season. But now back at it too. What are you most excited about here in 2023?
Man, 22 was such a big year. I'm sure the people you've talked to all felt the same way. It was an enormously, it was a great rebound from COVID. And so getting out of there and having a great year. Now, what I'm interested to see is how long we can sustain that level of, the people's interest to get out of the house, to be around their friends and then in the bars and hanging out with, us lowly country singers. We got to, somehow wiggle a little business out of it. But no, I'm just glad to be, having a consistent road presence. It's been a long time. It feels like a long time
Mm-hmm.
since we had a year like last year.
Let's build on the album too. You guys put it out last August. I thought it was one of the best country albums out there. Miles and Miles of You, which is really taking the Texas country market and, of course, just people in country in general by storm. A lot of work went into that. If I Don't Have a Honky Tonk was a big song off there for you guys, and of course, Abby Anderson is a good friend of mine. All in this together. Talk about just the making of the album, and I always say albums are never easy or cheap to make, but at the same time, when you guys put out great music, it resonates with people. It stays with them.
Well, we recorded that between November and December of the full on COVID year, where you couldn't, we had to have food dropped in by helicopters with guys with hazmat suits on, just to feed. We rented out a house. Dwight Baker has a house out there in the hill country, big old house where we could all sleep. And we got ourselves tested, so we got in. But once we got in, we stayed in, and it's got a big old recording studio in the back. And so, it was basically, laugh all night long and eat good food, and then get up and work during the days. I don't know, it's probably 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks of full on, pretty serious, not only songwriting but recording. And oh man, it was very, we bonded a lot, and I thought that it was the first time I used, well, and we were kind of forced to, right? You couldn't really get a lot of outside guys during COVID, so it was just our band, and made the process really, I don't know, fun for us.
As far as songwriting goes on there too, I always say it's hard to choose when you have like almost a cajillion songs to put on an album and really focus on a project and put your top 9 or 10 songs to make an album. Was this kind of an easy? Did this one come a little bit easier than maybe previous albums?
Well, we wrote a lot of the songs together,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought that was a lot of fun. A lot of the songs that I don't know, man. We were literally in that little place we have up in Steamboat. You know, I took the boys up there like right before COVID, and just as a songwriting retreat. You know, just to get away and let's go write some songs. So that was very productive. And then once COVID hit, I was like, man, these are the songs. And a couple of them, you know, from back in the far back catalog that I never got to record that I always wanted to. Because at this point, you know, I'm old enough to not give a shit what anybody thinks when I record. So I just kind of do what I want.
It's just a good thing. That's a good thing about being a great independent artist too. You know, you
This
see so much.
this
Yeah,
right here.
that too. Yeah, that's
There's
another.
my give a shit meter right there.
You know what's cool is that the industry's changed so much now to the streaming, and of course everybody trying to get those numbers and those clicks up. Back in the day, I remember going to your shows in the '90s and concert promotion, working radio, stuff like that, and you know, buying a CD meant something, and of course the merch T-shirts, which it still does today. I love vinyl records, and
Sure.
just talk about the changes now and Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube, and all these things with what streaming has done to impact the industry.
Well, I think first of all, you can scream at the moon all you want, but you know, time marches on, and you know, I always kind of laugh at the people that are still jealous, or the good old days guys. They're like, hey, it's just back in my time. Nobody really cares if I'm grumpy about that, or if I feel slighted. I feel very, very lucky to have come into the industry when we could still bribe radio stations to play our songs. You know, back in those days, and we did. I mean, I have cassettes, right, of my work, and CDs, obviously, but I felt it was great. You know, those were wonderful, but now is wonderful. You know, now it's really just as much fun, and it's so much easier to get massive amounts of content out to the public. I mean, just like what we're doing here today, zillion people are going to see this, and all I had to do was drive to my office instead of when we were recording for, you know, Universal and RCA and all those big record companies. Man, they would rent out a jet, and I would fly coast to coast and hit 3 stops a day. And I mean, the effort was incredible that you had to put out just to get your content in front of people. And so now it seems a lot easier. And you know, sometimes the horse gave way to the railroad, and then we got cars, and here we are somewhere. I mean, I'm talking to you in space right now. You know?
Definitely Zoom meets and everything, and of course StreamYards and all these digital things have changed the way people do business these days. Let's dive into that song, because I know I loved it so much off of Miles and Miles of You. If I don't have a honky tonk, let's break that one down and get a little backstory of that one.
Yeah, if it don't have a honky tonk came from my manager George. I didn't write that song, but the first time I heard it, okay, so can we cuss on this thing?
We can. Oh, it's a podcast. We can.
Yes, I'll just, you know what? I'll just. But at 2 pivotal points in the song, the first time that you know, it says we play country music. Well, the actual line from the writer was we play country. Right, and I just started laughing. Like I couldn't like the nerve of somebody to write that in a country song. Really got my attention. And now obviously we have the, you know, the G-rated version, but it's still just it's a great concept, right? I mean, it has everybody, there's characters, there's a storyline, yeah. That song was just very well written. And I don't, you know, Jack Ingram told me a million years ago, if you like a song, don't be afraid to record it. So there you go.
I love it too. You know, speaking of the ones, and you guys have them as show favorites when y'all put them in the set all the time. I mean, thinking back to 2003, that makes me feel like when you pointed to your chin about there's the great stuff and everything going on there too. But man, Wave on Wave, one of the best country songs to ever come out. I know you get asked a billion times about it too. But, you know, when you have something special, do you guys kind of know, when that song was written and recorded, you guys kind of felt something that might be special to hit #1 in Texas?
I said it was 4 o'clock in the morning. We were in a Walmart parking lot in Birmingham, Alabama. And I was back in the back of the bus, just riding by myself. And, you know, I was awake, and the bus was broken down. So we weren't doing anything. So anyway, I wrote the chorus, and I was like, there's something there. And then I walked up to the front of the bus just to see who else was up. And my drummer, Justin Pollard, and the keyboard player, David Newhouser, were both sitting up there, both very, very talented musicians and very, very solid songwriters. And I said, who wants to write the big hit on this record? That came out of my mouth. And it's the only time in my life on a stack of Bibles that I was right about that. But it was, man, it came out so fast. It seemed to just kind of landed on us. And what a lucky, fortunate turn of, I don't know, it was probably right about dawn when we finished writing that thing, and it was perfect.
No doubt. And I love collaborations in the industry, traveling to Nashville, talking to musicians about how big collaborations are, kind of build on that and talk about one of the best ones you ever did with. I mean, I love Josh Abbott. He's been on the program here.
Oh, yeah.
Talked to me several times with My Texas, because that's still a show favorite for you guys too.
Man, when I got asked to go record that song, George Corey was my manager, and I believe Bruce Kalmick was partnered with George in their Triple Eight management, and that's how Josh was with Bruce. And anyway, long story short, I got a call from George to say, hey, there's this guy who's just about to explode in Texas. Would you mind going and recording a song? I live in Fort Worth, which is North Texas, and Denton's a little bit further north. And he said, would you mind going up there and recording this song? And I was like, what's his name? And then now nowadays he's you go to Lubbock to see his show, there's 10,000 people there. But anyway, so yeah, I went up there, and it's a Texas centric song, as you can obviously tell, and I don't ever want to say that I've been pigeonholed like that, because I have had success out there when I wasn't singing about Texas. But this song was, man, it was so right down the middle for me, and obvious that I needed to be a part of it. And I was very, very, once I got finished with it, and I don't know, I was a little bit of pride to be asked to do something. I think Willie Nelson put it best. He said, I ain't ever going to turn anybody down to sing on the record. And that's evidenced by the fact that he did it twice with me. But, anyway, yeah, it's our responsibility to help out the next generation of singer-songwriter.
That's so cool, man. Like I said, and the award shows continue to push out so much talent these days. I mean, you look at the men's side, the ladies side, the shift of women's country music now is just crazy, man. What's your thoughts of this this new age talent that's busting on the scene now?
Well, I think first of all, the girls in our industry have been getting the short end of the stick for a really long time. It's very difficult. When I was coming up, there was Reba and the Dixie Chicks, and then and then everybody else just seemed to be on this massively other lower level. And I didn't understand that, because I thought the Kathy Matteas and the Trisha Yearwoods and the Sarah Evanses of the world needed to be. It's just so much talent there. And then, of course, Carrie Underwood loosened the lid a little bit, and then Taylor Swift is, and it's so I think, man, I think we owe it to ourselves, because there's so many great songwriters out there that are female, and I'm jazzed. I think this next generation is full of the Tyler Childresses of the world, and all the great talent that's just kind of been laying under the surface is finally coming up to the top, and it feels really great.
There's a boy knocking on the doors here in Texas. I talked to him a few weeks ago. You're probably gonna know this name when I say it too, because he's had a few number ones now, and just a great songwriter and a great. I tell him he's country and cow shit sometimes, but David Adam Burns. You probably heard that name too.
Yeah, sure have.
Kid's on the rise here when it comes down to it. I say kid. I mean, you're definitely younger than me, so I can say kid when it comes down to it. But just a guy who just again puts out that traditional side, just like you guys did for many moons ago there in the 90s too, and in the early 2000s. What's your thoughts on him? And there's a guy right there that stays true to his roots.
Well, I don't know as much about his music, just because I haven't had a chance to listen to it very much, and work with him yet. But I mean, I still sing, Merle Haggard songs, and I still sing Billy Jennings songs and Jerry Jeff Walker songs. And man, if you don't, I don't know, there is a huge portion of the country music world that loves to see a young man sing like an old man. You look at Chris Stapleton; he's a young man that seems like an old man. And the same kind of thing, man. Like I said, I never had that. I mean, I still sing those songs, but I can't sound the way David sounds. I just, I don't have the ability to get down low. I just it sounds fake when it comes out of my mouth. Sounds like I'm putting on my big old cowboy hat and shoving up my buckle, and that's just not. I'm very in tune with what I want my voice to sound like, and but I sure do appreciate it.
Want to get your thoughts on, because last summer I had a pretty cool opportunity. I got to meet Crystal Gayle for the first time. She passed the
How
talked to
sweet.
her, love her, just a great lady.
Do you like play with her hair and wrap it around her face?
She did. But definitely the award show, and of course ACM's come on last year, and then you look at the pioneer woman of country music, Loretta Lynn. Talk about just what she meant and just your thoughts on great loss for the industry, but also just the great ambassador she was for the industry too.
Well, I know, I want to say the first 3 or 4 movies that I remember watching in my life, Coal Miner's Daughter was one of those. We had, I don't know if you've ever heard of a Betamax machine, but it was the predecessor to the VHS, right? I mean, it's honestly like they have a little hand crank, and you're like, watch this, kids. We had a Betamax, and my mom got Coal Miner's Daughter, and Sissy Spacek and Tommy someone. Anyway, that guy, everybody knows that guy. Anyway, that was a great flick to watch, and I fell in love with music at about that time, when I was about 5, 6, 7 years old, and it was Sound of Music and Coal Miner's Daughter and My Fair Lady, and all these music-driven movies were the ones that my mom kept letting us watch, or make us watch, if you want, however you want to put it. And I'm sure it was a sleeper for some of my brothers and sisters, but I just was like, ooh, that's it. And Loretta, I mean, just the honesty that comes out of her songwriting, and she's telling her story. And when I met Radney Foster for the first time, and we were writing 3 days, which turned out to a couple Grammy noms, all that, very cool stuff. When I was writing with him the first time, he goes, all you have to do is tell the truth. I was like, well, that seems like a broad statement, right? It's not, but that's what I have held to. And I tell it exactly how I feel about exactly this very specific moment. And those are the ones that get people.
Yeah, and that's what she was, so authentic, just like you are with the music. And a couple songs that remind me just how authentic you were back in 2001, back in those college days myself. Carry On, and also Take Me Out to a Dance Hall. Just give me some best memories on those two.
Carry On was my first collaboration song. I wrote that with flew to Nashville to write with Walt Wilkins, who was living up there at the time, and went to his place, and we started this song, and we were just kind of pounding on the wall, and I didn't really know how to collaborate. I didn't know how to do that. And so he goes, let's take a break. And we went to Starbucks, got a cup of coffee, and we saw a really pretty girl. I wish I would have gotten her name or met her, but I was like, the lights came on in my head, and I went back and said, Walt, let's go back. I think I got an idea. And we wrote the first verse like in an instant. And then the chorus came that fast. And then we were running out of time because I had to get back on the plane and go back home. And he goes, well, why don't you go over there in the yard, and I'll go over here in the yard. And why don't you try to write another verse? So I wrote the Walt Wilkins, go down to Nashville, come down to Texas and drink with me a while. I wrote that verse, and he wrote the last verse, and we stuck all three together, and it's still to this day my favorite song I've ever been a part of writing. I absolutely love it. And then Take Me Out to a Dance Hall, and that was easy. It was a Friday night. I didn't have a gig, and my roommate Jeff Griffin, who was my tour manager, who's now tour managing Hardy, used to work. Yeah, anyway, we used to work with Florida Georgia Line. Anyway, after he worked for me, but he and his girlfriend and the girl that I was dating at the time all wanted to go see Willie Nelson at Billy Bob's. And I was like, man, I don't feel like driving anywhere tonight. I'm laying low. And they all went up there, and I wrote that song that night, thinking about Take Me Out to a Dance Hall, right? Take me to Billy Bob's. So it's a song about Billy Bob's.
I love it too. That's what's so great about that is so many greats continue to grace that stage and step on that stage and will now for many moons to come. I love what you guys did, Pat, on the 2015 release of Home. So many great songs on there too for that particular album. And I loved the Girls from Texas, obviously featuring Lyle
Wonderful.
Lovett. And of course, While I Was Away. Give me some kind of just some great memories of putting out another great album that Home was too.
Home was a big one for me. It was one of my favorite. You know, I put, you know, Home up there with Wave on Wave as far
Mm-hmm.
as the way my brain connected with it. A lot of fun songs that I had a great time writing. But Girls from Texas was a wonderful experience. To, you know, I had met Lyle Lovett several times before, and I have a very I'm very fond of him. I have a, you know, huge amount of respect for a guy that um, has crafted his own world, you know, is in music. There's
Mm-hmm.
nobody like him. There will never ever be anybody like him. And his delivery, the way he frames a story and on the stage, the way he puts it all together, it just blew my doors off. So when I got the song, I was like, you know, if Lyle will do this, you know. And so we were actually, Lyle was roping
Mm-hmm.
at a rodeo in Oklahoma City, and I was doing a show in Oklahoma City that night. So there's a guy that had a house studio, and we went in. There's two microphones face to face, you know, and I'm on one side, he's on the other. You know, the giant circular, you know, pop guards, and so you can't really see each other, but you know that. And so all I can see is this big hair
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and the microphone, right? So it's the Lyle Hair
Mm-hmm.
microphone. And I don't know why I thought I had the balls to tell Lyle what to do. I was like, when you spell the word Alabama, I want you to give it one of those good, those real Alabama, you know. And he, you know, he's right here like this, and I can't see me. And he leans out and goes, "Did you just Lyle me?" It was my favorite moment of the whole time, and yeah, I don't know. From that point on, like I would go sing with him whenever he plays a bass hall in Fort Worth, and I was,
Mhm.
you know, wear a tie and try to be like him. And I'm just this marshmallow of a guy, and you know, and here's this lanky, you know, just super cool, you know. And so it's been a great time doing that.
Well, you know, I got to talk some sports with you before I close it up here too, because I
Yeah,
saw some football highlights. Got to watch a great weekend of football, NFL wise, and of course, have a little fun with that too. With Jacksonville and of course the Giants, two teams surprising in their respective wild card games. I know Dallas plays a big one tonight too, Tampa and things like that. What were thoughts on some of the football play? And of course, the Georgia Bulldogs taking home another national championship.
yeah, Bulldogs. Broke my heart. I went to that game. You know, I living in Fort Worth for the last 20 years. I've loved this place. And Sonny Dykes,
Mm-hmm.
Spike Dykes was his dad and
Mm-hmm.
was coach at Texas Tech when I was there. And anyway, long story short, a lot of connections there. So I was sad that we didn't show up, but I mean, it doesn't change my love for those folks. They're wonderful. Yeah, Jacksonville was a sneaker. I thought Miami was a real eye
Mm-hmm.
opener. It kind of said to me that the Bills are vulnerable. I mean, you know, it's just clock management. I don't know how else to say it, but yeah, Cowboys should take care of business tonight. Get Dak his
Mm-hmm.
uh, second playoff win, and you know, then you know, going into play San Fran, man, that's, you know, we're gonna have to be on our game to beat Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But San Fran's just, I mean, that's a meat grinder of a football team. They will beat you to death. So I'm excited. I hope we get to the big game, and I hope the Giants beat the Eagles, and then we get to face the Giants in the big conference championship. I'd love to see that
I'd
happen.
love to see
That's
that
my
too.
dream.
I love it too, right there. And hey, not too far out now for pitchers and catchers reporting now for baseball
Right?
season, which has been a fun off season for a lot of teams too when it comes to all the signings and trades and things like that. You know, I wear this cap because I love it so much with the 2022 World Series championship too. Building a little dynasty for these Houston Astros, right?
Man, you got to be proud for them. They have when the 2 years before their first championship, they cleaned the house,
Yep.
and they didn't win anything for 2 years. They were nothing for a long time, but they brought up all that talent slowly, and they matured
Mm-hmm.
those kids into these great, amazing, you know, people that you wanted, that everybody knows their name. That's great. I live 15 minutes from the Rangers ballpark in Arlington, and I was talking to one of their owners the other day. Who's just by chance got to be friends. They're very excited about some of the pitching pickups that they have made. I hesitate to say that we're World Series bound, but I bet we make at least the playoffs. Texas sports has been a lot of fun this year.
It really has, no doubt. Hey, when you're out there traveling, hitting the road, which I know you guys have some shows coming up we're going to talk about here in just a second. What's kind of the band's favorite food or a Pat Green favorite food when you're out there?
Yeah, we call it family dinner, and we do it about, I don't know, once every month or so, maybe twice a month sometimes. But no, it's cow. We eat lots of cow, and it's always a steakhouse. But we're doing finally the Northeast opened up for us to go back out there and do some concerts out there. Like last year, it just wasn't. We still didn't think that people want to get out. So we're going back to the Northeast, doing New York, Washington, Boston, whatever. So up there, it's really easy to pick a fun place to go out to dinner. And then we're also doing we're doing a week in March. We're going all through the spring break time with the colleges through Colorado. So a couple of fun tours going on, coming up that, it's fun to be with the fellas.
No doubt, brother. Well, I tell you what, I love the music. Congratulations on all the success, man, over these years. Miles and miles of you. It's out there across all the digital platforms. I know you guys probably always say musicians never rest on their laurels when it comes to working on new music. I'm sure there's probably more of that coming up in the next.
There is, yeah. I've been working quite hard on it. I'm excited. I'm going to do mostly just me by myself songs. So we'll see how that works out.
I like it, man. Well, I enjoy the holiday and, of course, the rest of the week. And the best of luck, you guys out there. Safe travels. We'll definitely catch you at a show, Pat. Definitely appreciate the time here on the Backstage Pass, my friend. Let's do it again, no doubt.
Thanks, Brandon. Thanks for having me on your time, and appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
Got it. The one and the only Pat Green here on the Backstage Pass. Of course, more great shows coming up this week. You guys be sure and stay tuned to the Sports Guys podcast.com and a whole lot more out there on the socials with great artists as we count down to CRS 2023. And, of course, out there, which will be out there too as well. So you guys check it out there, and we'll contact you pretty much out there too as well. Till then, have a great week, and thanks for all of us here at the Backstage Pass. See you soon. Take care.
Go Cowboys. All right.